Hi guys, welcome back to part 4, I believe, of our Fablehaven read-along. You can go ahead, buddy. So last time we left off, Kendra and Seth, who are main characters, they just arrived at their grandparents' house, and that's where they're going to be staying for a while their parents are on vacation. And they don't know much about these grandparents, and they have never been to their house before. And we left off on Kendra and Seth just entering their house. And once they go inside, they see that there's all of these really expensive things. There's lots of old antiques, and their house just in general looks really old. And then their grandpa leaves them up to their room where they'll be staying while their parents are gone. And in there, they see that there's tons of toys for them to play with, all expensive, really old toys. And the grandpa said, you'll be staying here in your room and you can pretty much do whatever you want in there. Just clean up after yourself and respect the rest of the house. And then he tells them that he doesn't want Kendra and Seth going in the woods at all. He says that there's ticks out there and you could get Lyme disease if you go into the woods and you get bit by ticks. So he's made a rule. He's made it very clear he does not want them going into the woods and outside of the yard. He said that they can go on the lawn, they can play in the pool, they can play in the house, in their bedroom, but anything other than that, they cannot do. So that's where we left off. Stay on the lawn, break that rule, and your outdoor privileges will be revoked. We understand one another? Kendra and Seth nodded. You also need to keep out of the barn. Too many ladders and rusty old pieces of farm equipment. Same rules apply to the barn as apply to the woods. Set foot in there and you will spend the rest of your stay in this room. Okay, Seth said, crossing the room to where a little easel stood on a paint-spattered tarp. A blank canvas rested on the easel. Additional blank canvases leaned against the wall nearby. Besides shelves stocked with jars of paint. Can I paint? I'm telling you twice, you have the run of this room, Grandpa said. Just try not to destroy it. I have many chores to attend to, so I may not be around much. There should be plenty of toys and hobbies here to keep you busy. What about a TV? Seth asked. No TV or radio, Grandpa replied. Rules of the house. If you need anything, Lena will never be far. He indicated a purple cord hanging against the wall near one of the beds. Tug the cord if you need her. In fact, Lena will be up with your supper in a few minutes. Won't we eat together? Kendra asked. Some days. Right now I need to visit the East Hayfield. May not be back until late. How much land do you own? Asked Seth. Grandpa smiled. More than my share. Let's leave it at that. I'll see you kids in the morning. He turned to leave and then paused, reaching into his coat pocket. Turning back, he handed Kendra a tiny key ring holding 3 miniature keys of varying sizes. Each of these keys fits something in this room. See if you can figure out what each unlocks. Grandpa Sorensen walked out of the room, closing the door behind him. Kendra listened as he descended the stairs. She stood at the door, waiting, and then gently tried the handle. It turned slowly. She eased the door open, peered down the empty stairway, and then closed it. At least he had not locked them in. Seth had opened a toy chest and was examining the contents. The toys were old-fashioned but in excellent condition. Soldiers, dolls, puzzles, stuffed animals, wooden blocks. Kendra wandered over to a telescope by the window. She peered into the eyepiece, positioned the telescope to look through a window pane, and began twisting the focus knobs. She could improve the focus but couldn't get it quite right. She stopped fiddling with the knobs and examined the window. The panes were made of bubbly glass, like those in the front of the house. The images were being distorted before they reached the telescope. Unfastening a latch, Kendra pushed the window open. She had a good view of the forest east of the house, illuminated by the golden hues of the setting sun. Moving the telescope closer to the window, she spent some time mastering the knobs, bringing the leaves on the trees below into crisp focus. Let me see, Seth said. He was standing behind her. Pick up those toys first. A mess of toys lay piled near the open chest. Grandpa said we can do what we want in here. Without making a disaster, you're already wrecking the place. I'm playing. This is a playroom. Remember how Mom and Dad said we need to pick up after ourselves? Remember how Mom and Dad aren't here? I'll tell. How? Stick a note in a bottle? You won't even remember by the time we get back. Kendra noticed a calendar on the wall. I'll write it on the calendar. Good, and I'll look through the telescope while you do that. This is the one thing in the room I was doing. Why don't you find something else? I didn't notice the telescope. Why don't you share? Don't Mom and Dad also tell us to share? Fine, Kendra said. It's all yours, but I'm closing the window. The bugs are coming in. Whatever. She shut the window. Seth looked into the eyepiece and started twisting the focus knobs. Kendra took a closer look at the calendar. It was from 1953. Each month was accompanied by an illustration of a fairyland palace. She turned the calendar to June. Today was June 11th. The days of the week did not match up, but she could still count down to when her parents would return. They would be back in June 28th. This is stupid. This stupid thing won't even focus, Seth complained. Kendra smiled. And that's the end of chapter 2. So I hope you guys liked another reading of Fablehaven. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.